This was sent on Twitter using the hashtag CornyDriveThru from Johnny Sameface. Not that one. Not the famous one. On Friday, Mae Young would have turned 98.
Oh, my God.
That got me thinking about her Attitude Era run in the late 90s. I'm pretty sure Jim was off television by then, but did he ever meet Mae? And does he have any stories about her?
Oh, I've met Mae Young numerous times and Moolah even more often, but we were very cordial. I mean, it was a complete accident that they got that resurgence during the Attitude Era, but it was due to Vince Jr. and Vince Sr. were always close to Moolah. She booked the girls. She did the business with them, and they had known her for quite some time. But Mae, as a lot of people know, predated Moolah in the business. And then they worked. Mae was part of the original big run of women's wrestling during the Mildred Burke days. And Moolah came along and picked up after Mildred Burke was gone, and that initial, run where girls were in the main events and really drew money at that point, that had subsided, the whole Billy Wolf, Mildred Burke thing. So Mae had been out of the business for quite a while Moolah was still in it, and Mae had lived in California, but somehow or another they ended up, Mae moved to South Carolina to live at Moolah's compound. A lot of the girls lived there, and also the midget wrestler, her name was Katie, but she wrestled as Diamond Lil. She lived there with them. They were close friends for years, and what a great person she was. She was just always happy and, nice to be around. But anyway, so when Moolah and Mae Mae lived there with Moolah, and Moolah would come up just to, Vince invited her to a lot of things like Hall of Fame ceremonies. And so then Mae got a resurgence, got a renaissance is what I was trying to beat around the bush and go for, because once they got around Mae Young, what a fucking, you say all the time in wrestling, these unforgettable personalities. Mae Young was one of those personalities. And once that, Vince was around her, and then Moolah was always feisty. And then, of course, old shit stain, he had tons of ideas, but they started using Moolah and Mae because they realized there's something to be said for putting these people on television. Where are you going to find women like this, especially like Mae? I met her the first time in, the early 90s. Up in the Northeast, Moolah used to have a thing called the Ladies International Wrestling Association. They would do a convention.
Yeah, remember they were raising money for the wrestlers' retirement home?
Yeah, how'd that work?
Where's that?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
What happened to that money?
It's, it was at what was it, 101 Moolah Drive, Columbia, South Carolina.
That's right.
And that was her real address, folks. I'm not shitting. But anyway, maybe it was 96 anyway. But she had one of those deals, one of those conventions in the Northeast, and I had just moved up there, so it had to be 96. And I went up as a special guest, and Killer Kowalski was there because it was in his backyard. And it was just, I had some pictures taken with Moolah and Mae, and Killer Kowalski and a few of the other legends were there. But Mae wrestled, and they had a spot show ring or a boxing ring or some kind of, it was just a training ring, if that, and it was harder than Chinese arithmetic. And I'm standing in the back watching the matches, and Mae took a slam off the top from whatever girl she was working with onto that ring, and Mae bounced 2 feet, landed flat and bounced. The ring didn't give it all. She bounced 2 feet. And what would she would be 98 now. So what would she have been in 1996? 25 years ago, she was 73.
And she looked 10 years older.
Well, facially, yes, yeah. She looked 10 years older because the life she led, my God. But anyway, the point is, it was classic. I've said many times, Moolah was a sharp-ass businesswoman, but around me, around all the promoters, around all the boys, maybe not all of her girls, she was the, Southern Belle, the, retiring Southern flower. And when I would get a phone call from her at the office, if she was calling for something official or just to book me on a personal basis, what? How are you, Jim? I can't even do her accent, but how are you, Jim? Good to talk to you, honey. That type of thing. And Mae was this.
And then she stopped to yell at Velvet McIntyre to keep cleaning the furniture.
Yeah. And Mae was like, she was like if Stella Mae French had been a real gimmick, she was like this old fucking truck driving woman, right? And so many people have told a story. One of the guys said the first time he got into business in the 50s or whatever, he walked into the fucking locker room and there was Mae Young playing poker with the boys sitting on the bench smoking a cigar, looked up and said, "Hey, fuckface." You know, she was but she was then a kindly old woman that she wouldn't say those things out loud. But if she was in a one-on-one conversation with one of the boys, she was still like a fucking truck driver. And the first thing, I just saw a piece that Kurt Angle had done an interview. I said the first thing that she told Kurt Angle when they did a thing where she was going to take the Angle Slam. "Kurt, I want you to do one thing for me. Pick me up and spike me to the mat. Treat me like one of the boys." And the same thing with Bubba Ray Dudley when he was supposed to give her the powerbomb. "Slam me like one of the boys. Treat me like one of the boys." She was not going to goddamn have you take it easy on her because she was a woman or almost 80. So, I mean, but we've read In the Newses on a couple of her arrests back at, that was the 40s, the good newspaper clipping that we found. But she and a few friends of hers back in the 40s would buddy up to some guy at a bar and get him half drunk, and then he'd take them home where he thought all kinds of things were going to happen, and they'd beat him up and rob him, and then he'd be too embarrassed to go to the cops and say a woman beat me up and robbed me when I was trying to fuck around with her. But every once in a while one of them did. I mean, what a fucking career, what a life. So how old was she when she died? Was she like 92?
I don't even remember when she died exactly.
I know it's been several years, but that was the thing. She wanted to work on her 100th birthday. And Vince had promised her, if it happens, Mae, we'll book you. So I bet you she would have wanted to take a fucking slam.
Do you think it was hard to convince her to do the thing where she gave birth to a hand, or was she, all right, let's do it?
No, at that point, not only was she so far enough out of the business, and imagine that. I mean, yes, she took up for the credibility of the business and the, kayfabe all those years, but now she's been out of the business on a regular basis for fucking 30 years, probably at that point, easily. And she had a wrestling school and done some training and who knows what else. But now she's in the NBA-sized arenas, being featured on national television, getting checks that are bigger than she'd ever seen in her life for doing promos and pre-tapes or taking a fucking bump every once in a while. She used to work half an hour a night with those stiff girls in the 40s and 50s that they didn't really teach them all the way how to work, so it would look good in some cases. So this was the easiest job she ever had. I think she'd have done anything, and she was up for anything. So that's a whole completely different kettle of fish.